The PL Show is brought to you by Kel Chaco, Kel 360, and Kel Kids Toothpaste. There's no force more powerful than a woman determined to rise. Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. The previous seasons, we brought you amazing and intelligent women who were daring to make giant strides in their fields of endeavors. This season promises to be more exciting. And today, guess what? We're starting with a woman who has passion for corporate law. You'd want to stay for that. You definitely don't want to miss it. This is the Kel Toothpaste PL Show, brought to you proudly by Kel Toothpaste. We have Kel 360, Kel Chaco, and Kel Kids. My costume today is from Cafe Clothing, and she's on all social media platforms. You can contact her for your beautiful outfit as well. I am Emefa, Apawu, and this is the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. We'll be right back after the break. Please stay with us.
Mommy.
Mama Josie.
Fe. Yum.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Chaco toothpaste, healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chaco toothpaste, Sankofa,
Yenchi, Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
happy smile.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel Kids Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids, happy smile.
Welcome back to the Kel Toothpaste PL Show. And I've told you that this is an exciting season, a season that we're going to give you a lot of surprises, more women making giant strides in their fields of endeavor. And we're starting with a phenomenal woman today. And she is in the person of Madame Afua Adubea Koranteng. She's a managing partner of Koranteng and Koranteng. Of course, we are talking law. She has a passion for corporate law. Welcome to the PL Show.
Thank you, Emefa, for having me here today.
I hope you're doing very well.
Very well, by God's grace.
Okay, so I haven't introduced you fully because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to you. You have made a lot of strides in your field of endeavor. It's time for Kel 360. That one will introduce you properly. So take a look.
A seasoned advocate with in-depth knowledge in navigating regulatory affairs in Ghana, lawyer Afua Adubea Koranteng, managing partner and co-founder of Koranteng and Koranteng, has been in the legal fraternity for a long while, hence her experience in corporate law. With her guidance, Afua helps clients through complex matters, developing innovative solutions to meet their objectives. A fun-loving mother with a heart of gold.
She's been a mentor to me and has actually broadened my knowledge and my experience in corporate law.
Having her as a teacher has taught me a lot of things.
She's a mother. She's
she's a sister. I'll say she's a gem. She has time for every intern and she treats you like her own.
Beautiful, very beautiful. And I must say, I like your hair as well.
I like
We're
yours
rocking
too.
the same hair.
Yes, we are.
Well, so since we've been talking about your profile in terms of what you do at work as a corporate lawyer, let's talk about a typical day in your life as a corporate lawyer.
As a person who is passionate about plants, my typical day always starts with a walk in my garden. I take inspiration for the day from that. That is when I pray and get in touch with my inner self and ask God to guide me through the day. Now that we have these restrictions that sometimes we're allowed to work from home, there's a lot of work currently that is undertaken on Zoom calls. These Zoom calls then have you being in meetings from as early as 7 a.m. because the people on the other side of the line may be in a different time zone in the world. And I do have quite a young team of lawyers. And so we have to have meetings where we go over what we are needing to research or deliver for clients. And that's how the day would go. So in between meetings, training, introducing new clients to what we have to offer from time to time. And then obviously there are people who just walk into the office and need assistance with one thing or the other. The firm does a lot of work for the ministries, for instance, and that is quite dynamic because at any given point in time, for government work, something is an emergency. So no day is the same.
Let's talk about your interaction, at least, with the kind of work you do for government.
The kind of work I do for government involves transactions that involve the government of Ghana. And as you can imagine, that is quite high profile. As a lawyer, you need to be able to research at any given point in time. You need to be able to let your client know that something they're trying to do may not necessarily be in their best interest. Sometimes that may not come off the right way. But it's your job and your responsibility to get that done. So in terms of engagement with ministries or with other high-profile clients, it depends on what the client needs. At certain times, it might involve you giving a presentation. It might involve you writing a legal opinion. It might even involve you simply sitting face-to-face with the client over a cup of coffee to let them understand why they need to do something in a certain way. Because sometimes that informal approach lets the client relax and it lets them understand why the lawyer is approaching them that way. I've come to realize that the legal practice, especially in the corporate world, it isn't about repeating and regurgitating what the law is and spilling it out to the client.
Not just the cases and all.
Yes, you have to let the client understand things and you have to let the client show that you have their best interest at heart. And so you must get into the client's line of business. What are they doing? Are they an agribusiness? Is it a government agency? Is it a private person who's trying to do something? All these elements make a difference to how you approach the client.
20 years in law.
Yes.
Don't you get tired?
Next July will be exactly 20 years since I got called to the bar. Not tired. I mean, I can't even believe that it's been 20 years because it's been such a dynamic and fast-paced process from one thing to the other. So I've never been in a still place where I think, oh, I've been here too long. And I think whenever I have felt that I've been in a place too long and I'm getting bored, I move. So I haven't
get bored at some point.
Oh yes,
then.
I do get bored sometimes at what I'm doing and where I am. I call it my itch. And I say that because at any given point in time, after being in a certain place, I realize that, okay, God, what do you want me to do next? It's just a way where I have my inner discussion with God and say, what next? I suddenly am not feeling comfortable. So what do I do next? And that's the phase where you have to pray a lot and ask God that what is the next phase? And most of the time when you get into that position, something will fall on your lap. Sometimes it's almost magical. And that's how my journey has been over the years.
You sound like you're a very spiritual person.
I am.
I've seen that you've done about 4 law firms.
Yes.
So is it part of the directions that you get at every point in time for you to move?
Correct. So my first law firm that I worked at here in Ghana was Say & Co., an old-time lawyer, Kweku Say, may he rest in peace. And that was wonderful training ground. And after about 2 years of doing that, I felt I needed to be in a bigger environment. And that's when I moved to JLD and MB, which you probably know is a well-established law firm here in Ghana. So there too, I was involved in various transactions, a lot of stock exchange transactions, mergers and acquisitions. And that was over a period of 4 years.
Okay.
Right? So after JLD and MB, I had various interviews where I had felt that I needed to move, but I just couldn't figure out what's next. And I would get various corporate offers and decline them. And then suddenly, one of the offers I got, the interviewer calls me and says to me, well, you declined our offer, but having interviewed you, we think we have a role with some affiliate company that you might enjoy, although it is a startup. So do you want to perhaps go and see them and give it a try? And so I did go for that interview. They actually forwarded my CV to them. And I went for the interview, and that was American Tower Corporation, which is now ATC Ghana. I was the corporate lawyer or the general counsel and company secretary of ATC for 7 years. So from the time it started up, bought MTN's towers, and was in that establishment for it to grow for 7 years. And then, as I say, the itch comes again, because I got to a place where I thought, well, I'm general counsel here in this company. What is the next step here for me? The next step would be, okay, to get a head of Africa legal role. And how long do you wait for that, right? So I started to speak to God again and speak to friends and family about how I was feeling. And the decision then was to go into private practice. And that was quite a surprising move for most people, because my job as general counsel was quite well paying and very comfortable, right? But I decided to move to private practice. So everybody was upset. I was leaving, but they were happy for me starting something new. And that's when I went into partnership with CQ Legal and Consulting. Yes, and I was there for 3 years.
Well, but you make it sound also easy and rosy, that it looks like it just works for you because maybe you are God's favorite child. But would you say that it's been all rosy? You haven't had any difficulties, any challenges, at least the transitions from one firm to the other up until where we are now?
No, it hasn't been all rosy. But when you talk about me being God's favorite child, my nickname from my father is Oluwakemi, which is God loves me, right? So
he indeed does.
I am indeed God's
he hears
favorite.
You and listens.
Yes, God listens to me.
Yeah.
I say that I have a personal relationship with God. Going back to the journey, it hasn't been that rosy. Every time you're making a move, you have to think about your family. This move you're making, for instance, what is going to be the effect on your family in terms of finances, even in terms of distance from one job to the other. So all those considerations come into play. In my line of business as a lawyer, the work environment itself isn't challenging. I mean, challenges come when, for instance, you get yourself in a bit of a tight corner with a client, perhaps the way you've advised them, you're not happy about it. So those could be some of the challenges. But luckily for me, I think I've had a very supportive family, a supportive husband. So there isn't anything that in my corporate world or in my journey as a lawyer, I would say has really been a challenge.
Most people think that this is really a profession for the men. So when I see a woman like you accomplished in that field, I wonder, how have you been able to, seal that ground that people say is an area for men?
I think women in the legal environment or in any other corporate world, we are very strong people. We are very resilient at what we do, right? And so you must understand, you enter the corporate world or you enter whatever environment and you know that, yes, this is the man's world. But you know your competencies, you know your level of professionalism. And so you have to bring your A game, without a doubt. And I believe you feel the same. I mean, when you go into a man's world, you don't go there to rub the men off in their faces and show that here I am. But you need to be able to bring your best self and your most professional self and let them know that, yes, when this woman talks, she knows what she's talking about.
The law profession is more like an octopus. various tentacles and, areas. But you chose just corporate law. Why so?
I chose corporate law because it started from a childhood dream. I used to want to be an air hostess when I was about 6-7 years old. My dream was to be an air hostess. I guess I traveled on Ghana Airways and I got excited by the clothes and the air hostesses. So my dream then was to be an air hostess. And then I went into a boardroom. My father had set up now Carl Merchant Bank. And I went into a boardroom. I think that must have been about Form 4. And there was just something about that boardroom setting, seeing the company lawyer speaking to my father then, who was the MD, and advising him on something. I remember that was the moment when I thought one day I would like to be a corporate legal advisor and sit around a boardroom to advise boardroom members on something. And so I think that's when the dream started. So when I went to secondary school, I studied subjects that I believe leaned towards law.
There are a bit of things that you've done that drew my attention to you. The first time I heard about you, this issue that you did, the Eurobond, the zero coupon Eurobond, and then also your help in terms of what you did in the energy sector. I'd want us to delve a bit more into that, because when it comes to these things, people say that it's not for women, but you've been able to do it. Let's talk first about the free coupon Eurobond and the role you played in that.
The most recent Government of Ghana bond was the zero coupon Eurobond in April this year. Koranteng & Koranteng Legal Advisors, we were one of the local counsel on the transaction. So it involved a lot of international lawyers, international banks, and of course, Government of Ghana, Ministry of Finance. And our role as legal advisors on the transaction is to review all documentation and highlight any challenges within that transaction that applies in terms of Ghanaian law. So at any point in time, any of those bankers or other international lawyers or the ministry themselves will question you at any point in time about what is the legal position under Ghanaian law for XYZ. For instance, under English law, you're supposed to do XYZ, and under Ghanaian law, what is the position? So that was our main role, to ensure that all documentation as presented by the bankers or international lawyers were proper and adequate and in line with Ghanaian law positions.
And it turned out successful, didn't it?
It did, and this is actually the fourth one that I've been involved in. I've advised on Eurobond transaction in 2020, as well as the one in 2019. And then the first Eurobond, which was back in 2008 or 2007, when I was at JLD and MB. So I've been involved in at least 4 of such Government of Ghana bond issuances.
You pass as a Eurobond expert at this point. Well, how about the energy sector? Because Eurobond, energy.
With the energy sector, it's the Government of Ghana Energy Sector Recovery Program. You would recall that in 2019, Ministry of Finance announced that they were going to renegotiate all the power purchase agreements in the energy sector. So Koranteng & Koranteng Legal Advisors is one of the local advisors on that transaction. And so we've been negotiating with and reviewing about 30 plus power purchase agreements in Ghana. So we advise, our advice level, relates to ECG, to the Ministry of Energy, GMPC, Ministry of Finance itself, yes, and Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. So there are quite a number of government parties involved in that, and it's quite a fast-paced transaction, as you can imagine, because every day that ticks by, we are trying to reduce the cost to government of power production. So every day that goes on, it's critical that we complete this transaction.
And I'm sure, sitting back with the advice that you've given, I'm sure they've started implementing some of the advice you've given.
Oh, yes. It's a very fast-paced transaction, like I mentioned. And every move that government makes currently, they have to consider that aspect, which is the power sector.
Interesting. It looks like you're a very tough woman.
Tough? I don't know about tough, but I know how to speak my mind. Yes.
Well, on that speaking your mind note, we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into family, and we have a surprise as well.
Okay.
So we'll get into it. You want to stay with us on the Kel Toothpaste PL show. We're right back.
Brush, 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 brush your teeth. Brush, 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 2 times a day. Brush with Kel Kids.
Hello, my friends. My name is Kel Kids Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush. Makes your teeth stronger, chicky chicky whiter, chicky chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Kel Kids. Happy smile.
Shady aroma to me.
Tonton master, ebe ye juma na mo. Kwese o madahati. Roma insecticide spray ada Roma. Entafre, entatia, mekeche ha. No way. Shemikuno, tonton ba ko kra anfa mo. Eno so a empu sie. Roma insecticide spray and mosquito coil. Emma wo dem we ye sham. Roma, enkwa.
Roma and Tonton Master.
Welcome back. You're still watching the PL show. Is the Kel Toothpaste PL show, proudly brought to you by the Kel range of toothpaste. We have the Kel Kits, Kel 360, and the Active Charcoal. You want to get one for yourself and get that happy smile. My guest on the show is still Afua Adubea Koranteng. You're from Ikuapem, right?
Yes.
Okay. I would want to take a walk through your garden with you in the morning, where you get to get in touch with your inner self and, you know, pray and all that.
Yes.
You till this garden yourself, you put it together yourself. How does it look like? Give me a mental picture of this wonderful garden.
It's a garden filled with, it's a garden, so it's filled with a lot of green, which is my favorite color.
And we're in green.
Exactly.
So.
I think it's quite expected that where Afua is, there is green.
Green, yes.
Yes, so my garden is filled with color, it's filled with life. It's a place that people enter and say, this is a Garden of Eden. Mm-hmm. I think there's still a lot more that I need to do to it. But for now, I think it's pretty presentable and it's a happy place.
Where will the children be placed in all this? I know you have 2 wonderful children.
Yes.
They allow you that space whilst you're in that garden?
I have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old, so they're not babies anymore. They know that I spend a lot of time in the garden. Even when they were younger, anytime they would say, where's mommy? She's probably outside, because that's where I spend most of my time. Enjoying something or fixing something, planting something new. And that's the way my life goes.
So let's go to your garden. Okay, shall we? And it's the do-it-yourself segment. And this part is brought to you by the Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Let's take a look.
Mommy.
Mama Josie. Fe.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
Hello and welcome to my garden. We're about to plant some orchids. I am going to use my gloves. So first, I put a little bit of the charcoal in the pot. The orchid pots always have holes so that the water runs out. The plant will not thrive if it is stuck sitting in water. I am taking it out of the broken pot. We put this with a little bit of charcoal in the base, and then you pour the charcoal all around it so that it doesn't tip over. I won't pour water on it now because it's fresh charcoal. The minute I pour the water on it, the whole place is going to be black. You notice that you can actually do it yourself. It's not that difficult to start gardening and enjoying the beauty of it.
Welcome back from your garden. Well, that's a big garden. I thought it was just a small one.
It's small in my mind.
How long have you been doing this?
Gardens have always been in my life. I mean, my mom used to grow flowers when I was a child. She used to grow roses and anthuriums for sale. But as I became a teenager and through my university life, I wasn't bothered about it. Until 8 years ago when we moved into our own property. Then I started gardening. Now I had my own space and I knew that whatever I planted was mine to keep. And so, yes, I would say 8 years.
How many orchard plants do you have?
Oh, I can't count. That's over 100.
But that's many. You don't want to start selling?
I do sell them from time to time, actually. Okay. Yes. Sometimes I go to my kids' school bazaars. I have friends who come into my garden and want one plant or the other. And once in a while, I let them pay for it.
How much does one cost?
Depends on the type. I mean, the one that is most common in my garden ranges anything from 150 cedis a plant and up. It depends on the size of the plant. Yes.
Lawyer and gardener. Well, that's interesting. But it takes me to your childhood because you've been talking about how your mother used to sell the roses as well and anthuriums as well. Let's talk about Afua Adubea Koranteng as a child. How was it like?
I think I would say I had a very wonderful childhood and a very fun childhood. I'm in a family of 3 children, mother, father, and 3 children, so 5. I have an older brother and a younger sister, so I'm the middle one. I don't think I have any experience in my childhood that I would wish away. I had a loving family. We grew up in a neighborhood in East Cantonment where there were a lot of soldiers. I mean, that was very close to Burma camp.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of soldier families in that neighborhood. And there was freedom in my childhood. You could jump from one house into the other right after school. We were climbing trees, going for guava, going for mango, riding a bicycle.
Were you a kubolo?
No, I wasn't a kubolo. I've always been somebody who doesn't like too much action and activity. Okay. But I like to have...
But then how were you climbing the trees?
Yes, the guava tree, that I really loved. So the house opposite us, there was an adjacent house there. And that's the first time I climbed a tree. And I think probably the only time I climbed a tree.
And you didn't get beaten for it?
Oh, no. Okay. My mom was quite a disciplinarian, though. Oh, she would lash you for things. She had this particular plant that came out like canes. And she would lash us, especially for not doing homework.
Let's talk about the man who calls you Oluwakemi.
Yes.
Your father.
Yes.
You talked about your mom, a disciplinarian. How about your father?
In the outside world, people know him as the disciplinarian. He's a no-nonsense kind of person.
Why are you surprised? What is it? What are you seeing?
What is he doing?
Yes. So we welcome your father. That's a former banker, diplomat, businessman, chairman of Lake Country, Ambassador Afua Adubea Koranteng. Welcome.
Thank you.
We have more surprises.
Oh, Taiwo, Letitia.
Asanwa baby, my ifudanya, makuma hima, ube kumi yo, roti mi yo, your love na